Down go the Dragons! Yo, what is up, everybody? How are we doing today? It is the 4th ever episode of the St. Louis FanHawks podcast. I'm Raj. I'm here with my boy Amit.
What's up, guys?
Shubs.
Yo.
And Chase.
What's going on?
And we're going to be doing what good friends do anytime they love sports. We're going to be sitting around. We're going to be drinking. We're going to be talking about sports. And with that, we may say a few bad words here and there. So keep that in mind. Get the young ones out of the room. And if you are a young one, get out. We got a great show here today. But before we get started, we want to let you know that you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcast. You can also find us on Google Play Music as well. We also have a YouTube channel where we upload all the episodes along with some clips from the episodes so you guys can view those as well. That's the St. Louis FanHawks podcast on all of the platforms. Go ahead and search and watch the best way you can. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook at the St. Louis FanHawks podcast. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at STL_FanHawks. That's at STL_FanHawks. Go ahead and hit us up on there. We'll be posting our updates and everything. I post articles on the Facebook site all the time. You can check out the latest news on the BattleHawks there. So, we had ourselves an excellent game.
It gave me a heart attack.
Yeah, against the Dragons at the Battle Dome. The Battle Dome is where dragons come to die.
Yeah.
It's where we slay dragons.
We slay dragons.
The throwing Samoan is going to slice and dice you all up and down the field, and if you show him nothing, he's going to run up the gut. What'd you guys think of the game?
Awesome game. Teamu put the team on his back. Our running backs couldn't ever get really anything going, so he was all over the place, and he was throwing to receivers all over, spread the ball around, and really he was the MVP, like, easily for me.
I thought it was a fantastic game. Like, it was, for me, watching the past few games, it's been a little hit and miss here, a little hit and miss there as far as defense or offense goes. I think overall this game, the defense and the offense brought everything they had to the table, and I loved it.
Yep. I'm glad they put a nice one together for St. Louis and gave us a good win. Fans definitely showed up.
Yeah, so we got some stats here. We got Jordan Tam went 20 for 27, 264 yards, had a 74% completion rating. Very efficient through the first 4 games of the year. He rushed 16 times for about 63 yards, which accounted for most of the rushing for the day, which was very surprising. Christian Michael was in there for the bulk of it. He had 12 carries for 27 yards. He had a couple of tough runs that I saw. It was, just his typical hard nose running up the gut, bouncing off of everyone and getting yards. Keith Ford was back. He had 3 for 23 and a very fun touchdown to watch. He bobbled it a little at first, and then he got it and he sliced it up and got the touchdown. That was one of the plays of the game.
Yeah, I think it was on an option. Yeah.
It was. Teamu did good. He read the linebacker coming in and just tossed it out. That was a good touchdown. Matt Jones, coming into this game, the leading rusher in the XFL, couldn't really get going. It was very surprising to see. Looks like the Dragons did have a plan for him to slow him down. Because, like I said, leading XFL rusher coming into this game, he's getting the most yards. He's really fun to watch. I enjoy watching him. He's my favorite back on the team. So it was really surprising to see him only get about 1.3 yards a play. But on the other side, while our rushing attack was kind of slowed down, our passing attack exploded. Teamu hit 9 different receivers to get those 264 yards that he got, including DeMornay Pearson-L, who's my favorite receiver on the team because he's like reminds me of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he's a rising star.
I'll talk about him for a second, though. with that double forward pass that he definitely could have just
Yeah,
ran.
yeah. I mean, that is a little bit of a black mark on what was otherwise an excellent game for
Hmm.
him.
Yeah, that was a funny play.
Even coach like hands his knees. What are you
I
doing?
know that was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but with Pearson L though, 5 receptions on 5 targets, 71 yards and a touchdown. He continued to be Teamu's safety valve. He continued to produce and be that security for Teamu. You know, throw the ball up at him, he's going to get it and he's going to get you some yards.
Hmm.
Everybody else stepped up as well. Keith Mumphrey, 2 receptions on 2 targets, but for 51 yards. That's about 25 yards a catch right there. So that was some massive production on some limited time. And then we had Riley with 3 receptions on 5 targets for 46 yards. And then hometown favorite LaDamian Washington, 4 receptions on 6 targets for another 41 yards. So you're seeing all of these guys get multiple targets, multiple receptions for more than 20 or something yards, and that's respectable for having all of those players do that. And that's a testament to Teamu and just how fired up he was. And I'm pretty sure I know why he was fired up. I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now, but his family was in the stands. His mom, dad, his sister, his uncle, and his aunt were all in the stands. This was their first time in St. Louis from Hawaii. I think they went to the Renegades game or the Roughnecks games, he said, but this was their first time in St. Louis. So Teamu's got his family in the stands. You know, the home crowd's there. Another 27,550 people showed up. Another sellout crowd.
Awesome.
He was fired up. The whole team was fired up. The defense was swarming.
It was.
I mean, they were all over the field. They were limiting plays for everyone. Will Hill gets the game-sealing interception, the interception that essentially wins the game for us because we got that ground and pound attack. We can just run that clock out at the end of the game. It was really exciting to see that defense step up, because the bold predictions and thoughts I've had about the team have all been defensive and just how great they are at, the BattleHawks or BallHawks now.
Yeah, so they definitely have a bend don't break kind of philosophy. I was a little nervous when BJ Daniels came in because he really gave us some fits. There was this one play, he was rolling to his left and he just caught the defender in the middle, threw it over his head, and the receiver got a 57-yard completion. So it was nice to see that we were able to get the interception off of him in the end in the fourth quarter to really seal the victory.
Exactly. But you know what? The Seattle Dragons, even though they lost, they have a lot to be excited about because this guy BJ Daniels looks electric. I mean, he came out at halftime. He told the sideline they were in the locker room at halftime, and coach let him know, like, okay, you're the guy now. Here's your shot. Show us what you got. And he comes out there. He's running. He's gunning. Gets 100 yards, 5 for 10. He got a touchdown. I mean, he was really sparking life into that offense, and it got sweaty for a little bit because it was 17-3 going into the half. Everyone thought the BattleHawks had it. The Dragons weren't doing anything really they only had a field goal. They couldn't get anything else going.
Exactly.
So everyone thought this game was over. Here comes this kid, lights him up, and then really turns it into a game. And he also had 7 rush attempts for 84 yards. So, I mean, even though he only threw for 100 yards, he added another 84 on his feet. So, almost 200 yards and a half. It's pretty respectable.
Yeah, he's channeling his own Teamu.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, and just overall, I think the BattleHawks had a really well-rounded performance.
Yeah, they made a few extra points here and there, so that's good to see.
So, the final score was 23-16. BattleHawks won. Overall team stats, we had 259 yards passing, 133 yards rushing, 392 total yards. We were 8 for 17 on third down. Dragons, 128 yards passing, 125 yards rushing, 259 yards overall, 3 for 10 on third down. BattleHawks had a time of possession about 2 minutes longer than the Dragons. I believe the BattleHawks had around 15. The Dragons had about 13 and a half or something like that. Great game. It was really fun. The tailgate was crazy. Again, we had some more folks bring another eagle down.
Eagle City.
I know. I mean, it was crazy. They were like fully Game of Thrones, like northern Game of Thrones dressed out. It was really exciting to see.
I saw on Snapchat some guy dressed as a knight.
Yeah. They're actually talking about opening the second part of the dome.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that.
That's good.
Yeah, they said that they started thinking about it after the first game, but wanted to wait till after this game because the next 3 weeks we're on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives them time to get the logistics figured out and all that.
More beer and hot dogs.
Exactly. So
Good
the first game there was only 40 vendors, and those lines are super long, and the fans got
Only
frustrated
40.
about that. Exactly. So this time, the second game at home, they put 60 in there.
Oh, okay.
And then at the first tailgate, I saw another story come out about that first tailgate. There was a Budweiser tent for tailgating, and the fans sold out. Like, they drank all the beer. They were sold out.
Don't they make the beer here?
I was like, the factory's right over there.
I know.
But that's St. Louis for you.
Emergency resupply.
I don't know, dude.
Literally.
That's St. Louis for you. Give us some beer, give us some football. That's all we need.
That's
Stan
it.
Kroenke.
Yeah.
How many
Jesus.
people showed up to your Wildcats game in L.A.? You know, your football town, your city that can support so many teams.
I saw an Instagram post that said XFL football in St. Louis is doing better than LA football.
Yep.
And it was just like the Chargers stadium, and I guess they play in the same stadium, right? The Rams.
They
and
will be,
Chargers.
yeah. They will be this year. in
Yeah, well,
2021.
the pictures are just empty.
Yeah, empty seats. Hey, we're a football town. Football's in
Yeah,
our
we-
blood.
Yeah, don't let anybody else say otherwise.
I mean, we love the Cardinals. Don't get me wrong, we love the Cardinals.
It's nice to see.
We love the Blues.
We love the Blues. But we're a football town.
We are.
BattleHawks fans are the loudest in the XFL.
How about that?
Kansas City Chiefs fans are the loudest in the NFL.
Missouri just knows how to make noise.
That's
Exactly.
That's a big W.
Missouri are the loudest fans in sports, and they call us a flyover town. Well, you know what I say? It's a no-fly zone. Hey, come at us, everybody. Let's talk about the rest of the league. Guardians played the Wildcats this week. Guardians won 17-14. New York quarterback Perez was 18 for 26, 150 yards, and threw a touchdown. Darius Victor, the running back, went 18 rushes for 82 yards, and that's about it. On the Wildcat side, Josh Johnson, 25 for 40 with 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Big stats, but didn't translate on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and Perez is the guy I believe they subbed in for McGroin.
Yep. McGroin
Oh,
is no more.
McGroin.
He's resting his McGroin on the bench.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Roughnecks and Renegades. Oh, what was that?
Did somebody get this guy some milk?
Roughnecks versus the Renegades. Roughnecks win 27-20. It was a pretty close game. Landry Jones, big news. Potentially hurt his MCL,
no.
potentially
Oh,
out for
no.
the season, and it was about 4 minutes and 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter when it happened. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully it's not too bad, but I mean he's the dude's been trying hard to get going this season. He was excited to play in the XFL. He was out the first game,
Mm-hmm.
and then he finally gets a chance to start, and then he gets all the way through this game, and then he's hurt again. So I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it's
a
tough.
big blow to the league.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have him.
And you never want to see a
Okay.
knee injury, especially
No,
because those are
no,
so
no.
hard to recover from. It
No,
can
that's
change
cool.
the entire way a player plays. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see what happens. P.J. Walker on the other side went 25 for 41, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. A surprisingly quiet day for the leading wide receiver, Cam Phillips. 1 reception for 9 yards, and that's it. Normally, it's really hard to contain him, and
Yeah.
that's P.J. Walker's favorite target. But I guess they just couldn't hook up this time around. However, because Cam Phillips wasn't pulling those passes in, Nick Hawley was there for 8 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. So he really had an opportunity to shine, and he took full advantage of it. So it was kind of cool to see that. Going over to the Vipers versus the Defenders, I mean, you know, us St. Louis fans, you never want to see the Vipers do good. But
Yeah.
they destroyed what was once thought as the league favorite, the favorite team of the entire nation, the DC Defenders. Looks like they have no defense.
Yeah, they got walked.
I mean, 25-0.
Just destruction.
Yep, Tampa Bay's quarterback sliced and diced, 24 receptions out of 31 attempts, 211 yards, a touchdown and an interception. They had a couple of running backs go off for them as well. Running back Davion Smith, 24 attempts with 122 yards on the day. Jacques or I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up, but Mr. Patrick.
Cool name.
21 attempts for 108 yards and a touchdown. So he had a really good day as well. The rushing attack did pretty good for them, I'd say. Cardale Jones, very tough day for him. Only 9 completions on 22 attempts, 72 yards and an interception. And then they ended up like pulling him out or something. One of the newer guys got.
Yeah. Threw like 2 passes.
Yeah, it wasn't too much. And, they had a missed field goal and just punt after punt. They really couldn't get anything going on the day. And you know why this is kind of exciting? Because that's our opponent next week.
Exactly. We're going to
Really?
DC.
Yep.
Have to destroy them.
Yes, sir. BattleHawks are coming in. You could be able to defend against those, especially with Teamu and the way he's playing, and the receivers are all in
He
sync.
is hot right now.
Running backs just need to get going, and man, defense is going to feast again.
Yep.
We'll talk about some bold predictions later.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the other 3 games that went on over this XFL weekend. It was a pretty exciting weekend to see. Of course, BattleHawks still hold on to that number 1 spot in our division. We should be number 1 in power rankings after this.
I think so.
I
yeah.
mean, with the way
Let's
we
go.
dominated, I don't think it should be Houston anymore.
I I'm still salty about the game, and I think all of St. Louis is, but we dominated the Roughnecks when we went to Houston.
In every level.
Exactly.
Passing, rushing, and defense, all that.
PJ Walker, great player. We contained him pretty well. It just we made a few too many mistakes in that game. So
I don't know, and then stupid ref.
yeah, of course.
But yeah, no, I feel this time around, we should be undefeated. We're not. We're 3-1. It's exciting. We're going to be the number 1 team in the XFL power rankings, even though they don't really matter. We're number 1 in the division. Maybe it might be time to start thinking about championship stuff.
Yeah, the playoffs are not that far away.
How does
I'll
that
all
go ahead and
work
say
in
it.
the XFL?
So I know the championship is in Houston.
Houston, yep.
And the tiebreaker rules are really weird. But, I mean, we still got a couple of games to go, so a lot of things will develop and a lot of things will play out, and the picture will become a little more clear at that point.
What do they call it? The XFL champion? Or
It doesn't, the championship game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't really have a name yet.
Yeah, we have 8 teams in the league, and there's 2 teams from each division
But
go to the playoffs.
Like, if we do what the NFL did, right, and NFL named the Super Bowl trophy after the first coach that won it, and if we win the first championship, can it be the Hayes Trophy?
That would be awesome.
That would be tight. I would
That would be
like
nice.
that.
Yeah, and Super Bowl MVP could be the Teamu Trophy or something.
That would be tight.
Oh.
Yep. Or the
Yeah.
championship.
Let's not think too far ahead. But
We're having delusions of grandeur. But no, yeah. That's basically what happened with the BattleHawks game and the rest of the league. Once again, you can find us on Facebook at the St. Louis FanHawks podcast. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at STL_FanHawks. You can find our new episodes, our clips, any updates going on with the BattleHawks or the XFL. Little funny stuff here and there, too. Some memes, some crazy stories like the fan who burned his crotch at the first tailgate. You find all that kind of stuff on our pages.
Stuff you do not want to miss.
Yep, and once again, you can also find our episodes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you can find podcasts. You can pretty much find our show. Couple of other things from around the league, like coming up to this week, the Roughnecks had the highest offensive team grade by PFF. BattleHawks were number 2. Roughnecks were rated 75.1. BattleHawks were rated 71.2, so they're pretty close in that number 1 spot. Defensive team grades, I just wanted to point this out because the BattleHawks have the best defense in the league,
Yep.
and defense wins championships.
Yeah, and that Roughnecks game is an outlier. They had a couple of possessions start within the 10-yard, like the BattleHawks 10-yard line. So I think that game, just because they scored 28 points against us, not really reflective of how our defense has played this season, which has been lights out.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, coming into this week, Teamu was PFF's second-ranked quarterback when it comes to their passing grade. But the crazy thing is Josh Johnson was rated number 1.
Yeah, former NFL guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was just crazy to see that because, he can't get anything going with his team. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm surprised P.J. Walker doesn't grade out the top there, but...
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that's been going on around the XFL is the use of social media, and all businesses use social media to advertise their product now. I want to preface what I say about the XFL with what the NFL currently does. And the NFL kind of tries to stay classy, tries to play on people's emotions, very cinematic kind of advertising and promotion and things like that, always for a good cause or, just something marketing that way. XFL social media is using comedy, and it's great.
I'm loving it.
I like
And-
that.
It's fun. It gets the crowd and the fans involved, and it makes it a little bit more lighthearted and easier to enjoy.
And that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, I know if you have a company or a product that millions and millions and millions of people watch every day, it's easy to feel some sort of obligation to use that as a platform to, bring awareness to certain things or to promote certain kinds of things, right? But at the same time, a lot of people are watching football or any kind of sport as an escape from normal life. So, I mean, you look at the games throughout the year and then you see all these wholesome, all these, charitable foundations, all the good stuff in the world that they bring awareness to or bring awareness to something that needs awareness. But then the biggest game of the year in the Super Bowl, they go for comedy.
Yeah.
But they're still they're good about it because they still bring awareness to some things, but they use comedy as a way to do it. They should just do that all the time.
Right.
It's kind of what the XFL is doing. The XFL is just taking the videos of the people that are chugging in the locker rooms and making memes out of it.
Yeah, they're leaning in.
I mean, it's awesome. It's hilarious. It captivates the people, and it makes the whole thing more entertaining.
Yeah, the players' personalities really stand out too.
Exactly. And I mean, it's awesome just seeing after every game everybody going and start throwing beers around and stuff. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? I mean, that's exactly
The
what
guy wearing the
fans
Zillion Beers shirt.
I mean, whenever your team wins, that's exactly what you do if you're a diehard fan,
Exactly.
You get all excited. You start jumping around, and the players are excited too. Show that, and it's genuine. It's not a big old serious thing. You don't have to be watching the whole game, having a good time, and then all of a sudden there's a commercial that might bring your spirits down a little bit. Just keep it going. One of the things I really love about the XFL is that the quarterbacks aren't really the name of the show, and that is very exciting. I mean, you look at the NFL, and it's like the quarterback and then the rest of the team.
Right.
And then, you could have a really good rest of the team, but the quarterback's not good, and that team's not validated, right?
Yep.
Kansas City always had an excellent defense, not really anything good at quarterback for a long time. Nobody really gave a crap. In comes Patrick Mahomes, darling of the NFL. Obviously, he's good to back it up, but it's fine, But like you look at the Packers.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Who do you think, whenever you think of the Packers, right? Immediately, who comes to mind? Rodgers, Favre, right?
Right.
You think of the Niners. You think of Marino. Fuck my life.
What was that?
Joe Montana.
Montana.
Are we keeping that in?
Maybe.
That's kind of funny.
Steve Young.
Maximum Goofy.
Montana and Steve Young. All the great franchises. You got Terry Bradshaw up in Pittsburgh. You've got Peyton Manning in Indy. All over the place. It's all about quarterbacks.
You missed one.
Don't forget Tom Brady and the Cowboys.
No, we're not going to talk about the Northeast.
The new Oakland Raider, Tom Brady.
Tennessee Titan.
Oh yeah,
But
that's one thing. Hey, Amit,
yeah.
you know what would be smart for your boy Marcus Mariota?
Oh, what's good?
He should come to the XFL
Yeah.
I would like that a lot.
because he really doesn't have a place for himself as a starter in the NFL.
Yeah, you know, there's
Yeah.
another Hawaiian guy doing really well.
Yeah, so bring him, dude. Bring the Hawaiian brothers in.
Oh, dude, I would like that.
Yeah, but if he went to the Vipers, we wouldn't have to.
Yeah, that's
Not
the thing.
accept that
You
fan.
probably wouldn't go to the BattleHawks, so it would be
No, you know why he will?
why?
Because NFL teams are going to poach Te'amu from us.
Oh no.
No, that would be unfortunate, but yeah.
But no, though, that's the crazy thing, though. If you think about it, XFL players don't have a long time in this league if they're pretty good.
Yeah, they won't. They'll be out.
I mean, and that sucks for fans, right?
It does.
Because, like, we love Te'amu. I mean, he's what we would probably call a franchise quarterback, right? But here comes the NFL saying, like, hey, you can have millions and millions of dollars
Yeah.
a year. I mean, any human would obviously transition over there.
Especially with the risk of injury.
Right. And then
Exactly.
you got
Yeah.
a stout running back, any good player on the team. If they do really good and they're a world beater and, a franchise player, as everyone would call them, they're gone.
Exactly.
But back to
yeah.
what you were saying about how QBs aren't the name of the show. I think that's part of the thing, though, because in the NFL, they get these huge contracts and good QBs stick with the teams for a while. But in the XFL, they'll get swooped up possibly.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
with the other players, too, but on the teams.
Yeah, and the other players, of course.
Yeah, but when you're actually watching the games, it's cool because like look, everyone's talking about PJ Walker and how he's been doing so good and everything like that, and he's a quarterback, right? But why has he been doing that good? It's because of Cam Phillips
Yeah, it's team.
and Holly this week. I mean, his team is carrying him. We know that he's not putting the team on his back for real, because, he tried out for the NFL and came over to the XFL, but no disrespect there. I mean, this guy he's worlds more athletic than I could ever dream of being, so I've really got no room to say anything. But at the same time, the teams are working together to come up with these gaudy stats, right? I mean, sure, Te'amu's doing really good, but he's getting it to multiple players, right? So he's doing good in himself there, but the team is really coming together and allowing Te'amu to look that good.
Mm-hmm. The
know.
defense is also helping them out a lot. for sure.
Exactly. And defense, if they weren't holding the offense that much, because, while we are pretty efficient in offense, we're not a high-scoring team.
Mm-hmm.
That defense really allows us to play to our comfort zone and get each and every one of those receivers multiple passes to catch, which takes a lot of plays to do. The defense is allowing our offense to stay on the field to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's a little more exciting, because you're able to think of like Kenny Robinson and Will Hill and all the other role players like Matt Jones instead of just Te'amu.
Exactly.
LaDamian Washington, who everybody already knows, Pearson L. I mean, it's really more of a team vibe than it is just a quarterback and the team when it comes to the NFL and basically any sport that has a star player on the team. The NBA is rife with that.
Yep.
So that's one of the things I like about the XFL. It's a smaller league. Everything's a lot more closer together. The fans are tighter. The people that have more access to the players. Just all in all, I think this is a platform built to succeed if it continues at the way
Yeah, it just
goes.
feels really organic all around. Yeah.
Let's talk about the rest of Missouri sports. What's going on with the Cardinals?
Yeah, so optimistic this time. We're going to talk about Dylan Carlson, our 21-year-old star prospect. He has been absolutely destroying baseballs in spring training. I think he had a streak of 11 times in a row reached on base, which would be like an awesome, which if you do that in the regular season, you're just awesome.
Right.
But it's really interesting because we're gonna have probably Dexter Fowler's probably gonna lock up one of the outfield positions, but then the other two are kind of up for grabs. Harrison Bader might get the center field spot because of his defense, but that other corner outfield spot is kind of wide open. It could be Tyler O'Neill, it could be Lane Johnson or Carlson maybe. He could take the spot. So it would be really exciting to see if he could really take that opportunity and really give our offense a boost, because our offense has been kind of the bane of our existence for the last year.
Yeah.
And if he can help us out there, that would be a huge boost for our 2020 season.
Yeah, spring training is always a hotbed for optimism and seeing what happens and potential. So a lot of times it does pan out with the Cardinals. So it's really exciting to see those young guys get out there and get some chances. What's going on with the Blues, Chase?
Since the last episode we had, I think we've only played 3 games. Well, we were playing the Blackhawks the night we recorded that, and that was a fantastic game. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch due to the recording, but watching the highlights and going back and browsing through some of the gameplay, I mean, we always play Chicago tough, and that was an awesome game. Blues came out on top 6-5. Sanford is continuing to be really hot. He's got some serious potential on the Blues, and progressing forward to becoming a more mature player. He had 2 goals in that game, and then 2 overtime victories after that, and Shin's heating back up. And he's got 4 goals in his last 5 games, so he's doing extremely well. Other than that, it's solidifying the Blues. Last year, it wasn't a joke. You know what I mean? We were a little bit rocky coming off the All-Star break, but coming back into this, we're proving we're here to stay.
It's really exciting to see, especially against the shit Hawks.
Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, the Blackhawks aren't having that good of a year, but whenever they come to St. Louis, it's always a tough game. I love watching it, and it's a fun rivalry, even though it's a very, very bitter rivalry.
And it's a rivalry that spreads across to baseball as well with the Cubs. So it's always a tough out both ways. And with the Chiefs, the GM Brett Veach came out and was like, "Oh yeah, we definitely want to keep Chris Jones and we want to keep Sammy Watkins as well." Now with the CBA in play, Chris Jones was recently franchise tagged, and everyone's like, "Oh, they don't want to pay him. Oh my God!" And then media's trying to spin this interview Chris Jones did with Fox Sports, where Chris Jones basically kind of implied that he had mixed emotions about being franchise tagged. He was like, on the one hand, you're on the team, but on the other hand, you put in a lot of work, and what more can you do at that point, especially for Chris Jones, who's pretty much only underneath Aaron Donald.
Yeah, he's up there.
Exactly.
Defense line.
So when I watched the interview and when I saw it, I didn't really think he was really, he was just going along with the process. He didn't want to come out and say like, "Oh, I'm not worried about this" or anything like that. I think it's more of a smoke and mirrors thing where the media wants to go and spin it like, "Oh, he's unhappy," or "Oh, he doesn't like the fact that he got franchise tagged." I don't think it's that at all. The new CBA is about to hit, and that is going to drastically change what the players are going to be allowed to get. So this is just a timing thing. The franchise tag is to make sure Chris Jones doesn't hit free agency, so they have enough time for the new CBA to hit. And with the new terms, they can work out a deal that favors them. And there's a lot of optimism that the new CBA would allow enough money for the Chiefs to comfortably sign Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones long term. That is a huge deal. We are talking about an insane amount of money there.
Yep. 2 cornerstone players for sure.
Exactly. And that can be franchise players and bring multiple championships to this team. I'm a very excited Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think they have a legitimate shot at a championship as long as Patrick Mahomes is keeping that uniform on.
Yep. Now, regarding that new CBA, a lot of NFL players actually are against it, and a couple of big-name guys, including Aaron Rodgers and Marquise Pouncey. Marquise Pouncey actually went on Instagram Live or Facebook Live or some kind of live and went on an entire rant talking about how the NFLPA doesn't care about the players and these terms are unacceptable, and even so far as to call it kind of like a strike, to say, he even said, "Hey, you young guys, if you need a loan, hit me up." Like that's the kind of energy he was pouring into this. He was pissed. And then Aaron Rodgers actually came out and put this huge post up on Twitter, a picture of something that he typed out talking about how he talked to the players that he represents, because he's a player representative for the NFLPA. Being a person in the league for the last 15 years. So he represents a lot of players and a lot of people on the Packers as well. So he spoke with them, and they were pretty much saying that the provisions that were made, the extra game and the playoff changes and everything like that, were to justify the increase in payroll. So they're essentially paying more to the players, yes, but the players have to do extra work in order to get
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, that's like saying, hey, here's a raise, but here's some more work you got to do on top of it.
Yeah, and
So
they don't
is it
think it's
really a
worth.
raise,
Yeah, they
right?
don't think it's worth the trade-off.
Exactly. So that's the kind of mindset some of the players have, and so Aaron Rodgers feels that he had to vote no on the new CBA as well due to that, and he goes through his thoughts and why he chose what he chose, and he really defends himself on it. Me personally, as a fan, I just hope there isn't a strike,
I would really be disappointed.
because the last thing I need after a Chiefs Super Bowl run is a strike.
Yeah, a lost season, that would be the worst.
I want the new CBA to go through so we can sign Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones long term. That's the only skin I have in the game, right?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel that.
These players get millions and millions of dollars either way. Well, I mean, that's not going to affect me. What's going to affect me is who's on the team.
Yeah. I think in the sake of fans, I think a lot of fans want to see it go through.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember the last strike. It was really when I was first starting to get into football during the first strike, and you're like, man, there's no football. It sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucked.
Yeah. I have some mixed thoughts on it. So the 17 game season is one of the proposals. Adding an extra game is fine if you're paying them enough extra money, in my opinion. But I understand why some players are not a big fan of that. That's one NFL game is a lot by itself. And then the playoff proposal, I'm not a big fan of. So you would take the number 2 seed would no longer get a bye.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the points Aaron Rodgers made too.
Yeah.
Like the Packers wouldn't have had a first round bye if
Exactly.
the playoff rules were in effect, which is crazy.
Yeah.
The last little thing we have here is kind of a little funny thing about an announcer in the NFL.
Yeah, you guys might know who he is. He's a former quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Guy who Dak Prescott replaced.
Tony Romo got a mega deal at CBS. A mega deal. 5 years. They're saying the deal is for about 5 years. It's not confirmed. But they say it's about $17 million a year
Oh, Lord.
to announce.
Yeah, that would be by far the largest contract ever for a broadcaster.
I mean, he is the play predictor himself.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
I know, he can pretty much predict anything just in a split second. It's crazy to see. I'm
You
surprised.
think we could bring him in to replace the guy that called the Dragons the St. Louis Dragons?
What?
Did you not hear that during the broadcast? The announcer called the Dragons the St. Louis Dragons.
No, I didn't see that.
Well, definitely watch the highlights. It's in there.
Was it? Was it Tony? I don't think it was Tony Romo.
Definitely.
No, I was asking if you could bring Tony Romo in to replace that guy.
XFL
okay.
would be, entire budget would go towards
Yeah,
his
exactly.
payroll.
I mean, just to make a comparison, okay? Tony Romo is making more money this year than J.J. Watt. He's making
Yeah,
more money
he's-
than Patrick
he's chilling.
Mahomes.
Yep.
He's making more money than more than 50% of the league.
Yeah, he's to put in perspective, he's making more money than he made himself as a
player,
quarterback
yeah.
in a lot of seasons.
I mean, that is
Crazy.
insane. That dude's post NFL career has been quite awesome.
Yeah.
He's sitting there like old as gold, baby.
All right, well, we got the Defenders next week. Obviously, the Defenders laid a goose egg this last week, so going into this, we may see a repeat of that, or
I hope so.
they may surprise us. It might be a trap game. Who knows? You know?
We've seen some trap games like the Defenders losing that badly to the Vipers.
Exactly. So, if there's a way for the Defenders to score negative points, I'm sure they'll do it.
That'll be all.
Before we go, let's just do some bold predictions real quick. You know, I'm gonna steal Chase's last bold prediction. I'm gonna say Te'amu throws for more than 300 yards with 3 touchdowns.
Okay, I like it.
All right. What about you, Shubs?
I think I'm gonna go defensive. I think again I'm gonna predict that the Defenders will not score a touchdown in this game.
Okay.
Wow, that's
I'm
extremely
good with
bold.
that too.
All right,
I'm
Chase.
good
What
with
about
that
you?
as well.
Let's see here. I'm gonna say Tiamu rushes for at least 50 yards.
Oh, I like
That's
that
not
as well.
bold.
All right,
And
for
I gotta play
100.
it safe
Go
after
for
that last
100.
one. No, I can't do 100.
I mean, you
All
can
right,
say 50
he
and a
rushes. He
touchdown.
rushes for 2 touchdowns. There.
Two. Oh,
Okay,
okay.
that's good.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Amit.
I like a little bit of that rushing action. I like Shubham's action. I don't think he'll throw for over 300. I don't know. I say we win by more than 3 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We might have to get some betting action going here next week.
No.
What's the over/under?
Yeah. All the over/under will be our points.
All right, everybody. So once again, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. The St. Louis FanHawks podcast on Facebook, at STL_FanHawks on Instagram and Twitter. You can find our podcast on pretty much anywhere that podcasts are available. Thank you for joining us for episode 4, and we'll see you next week after the Defenders game. Caw-caw! Woo!